Councilwoman Keys,
Here.
Councilman Galvin,
Here.
Vice Mayor Bieneme, Councilman Desume,
Here.
Mayor Joseph.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. We'll proceed with Pledge of Allegiance, led by our dear officer, Crystal Thompson.
Please place your right hand on your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we'll stay standing for our commander, Angela Branson, with the invocation.
Let's all bow. Father God in heaven, once again, we all approach your throne of grace with bowed heads and humbled hearts, giving thanks for your many blessings that you have so richly bestowed upon each and every one of us. We hope and pray that as we go about the city's business, that everything said and done within these walls will be for the upbuilding of our great city. In the name of your Son, let us all say amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. We may be seated. At this time, Mr. Manager will welcome any additions, deletions, amendment to the agenda before we can proceed.
Nothing at this time, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. So we consider this agenda set at this time?
Yes, Mayor, the agenda's set. You may proceed.
Okay. Special presentations. Florida Green Building. That's the one we do down there? Oh, okay. Huh? Before we go down? Oh, okay. So that would be Mr. C.J. Delva for an award presentation on behalf of the Florida Green Building Coalition.
Good evening. My name is CJ Davila, and I'm the Executive Director of the Florida Green Building Coalition. The Florida Green Building Coalition was formed in 2000 and is the largest certifying agency for green building within the state of Florida, just having surpassed 19,000 projects. To date, over 88 local governments have participated in the Green Local Government Program. The program is truly unique in the country because its success emanates from the fact that there's a sizable and compelling return on investment for any municipality, thus reducing the cost to taxpayers. It starts with leadership. The designation demonstrates exemplary leadership by Mayor Joseph, Vice Mayor Bieneme, Councilman Desume, Galvin, and Councilwoman Keys, as well as the City Clerk Etienne, who provided the framework and support to move forward with the certification. I also wanted to recognize all of the staff that worked on this tremendous accomplishment. The Green Certification Program scores the city in terms of categories. These categories included energy efficiency, water, economic development, tourism, emergency management, planning, and zoning. Each category, there are points that can be achieved. Some of the highlights from North Miami's certification are they adopted a green standard as official minimum criteria for new and renovated government buildings, restructured residential and commercial water rates to promote conservation through the use of innovative programs such as inverted block rates, developed a disaster waste management plan, and enacted and enforced a Florida-friendly landscape ordinance for new construction. City of North Miami has been certified since 2011 and achieved 32% of 300 points, earning them a silver level designation. On behalf of our members and our board of directors, we want to thank the City of North Miami on this tremendous achievement. Thank you.
Thank you.
This tree is from the Community Planning and Development Department, and we would like to donate this native pine to our fabulous council and our mayor and council for supporting us through this type of work so that we do get the silver designation. Our next designation we're going to work for is gold. So we would like to present this to you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. The next one is a presentation to the. Oh, there's a video. A presentation to the North Miami Library. I understand there is a video to be played before.
10 minutes.
All right, now we have Friends of the Library are coming forward with Mr. Basil, right? Thank you very much for everything that you guys do, because we are celebrating Library Week. This a proclamation is presented to the for National Library Week. I'm not going to read all of these. There are like 20 whereases in there, unless if Vice Mayor wants to come read it, or anybody is welcome to read the proclamation. I don't know. But
All right, yeah. It is a lot of whereas. Proclamation of the City of North Miami is pleased to issue this proclamation in honor of National Library Week. Whereas today, library are not just about books, but about why they do with people. And whereas library have long served as trusted and treasured institution where all people of all backgrounds can come together. Whereas library promotes civic engagement by keeping people informed and aware of the community events and issues. Whereas libraries are resourceful to all members of the community, regardless of race, ethnicity, creed, sexual orientation, gender identity, social economic status, by offering services and educational resources that transform lives and strengthen community. Now, therefore, in consideration of the foregoing, I, Mayor, Mayor Dr. Smith Joseph and the City Council of the City of North Miami, I was not supposed to do that, hereas do proclaim April 9th, 2019 to be Library Week, National Library Week, April 7th through the 13th, 2019. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Paul Brazil. On behalf of Lucia Gonzalez, Library Director, who cannot be here unfortunately, we want to thank the Mayor and Council for giving us this proclamation. As Councilman DeZemmer said, libraries are more than just a library. We're more of a community center. Like the Mayor said, like the Mayor always says, we're a city on the move. We've been a library on the move ever since we renovated in 2015. Thank you.
Thank you. Last one but not least, Chief Juriga is asked to please come forward for a certificate of recognition for Employee of the Quarter. What about the badge thing? I thought you were going to do the one for the badges too. I mean, not the badges, you got it.
We had a ceremony previously for those guys. Yeah, we had the ceremony.
Good evening, everyone. Hello there. The City of North Miami's Employee of the Quarter is Police Records Technician Anne-Marie Jacquenier. She's right up front. I'll ask her to come up at the end. Anne-Marie is the first person, and this is no exaggeration, she's the first person to arrive in the morning at work, and she's the last person to leave at night. Oftentimes, she's still over there when I come back from some of the lengthy council meetings. She's still in there working, truly is. She's very diligent and committed to the police department's values, and she has an affinity for helping others. Her assistance is regularly requested in our front lobby because she speaks English, Spanish, Creole, and French. She attended recently a training seminar geared to effectively communicate with people who are deaf or are hard of hearing, so she'll be able to communicate with more of our residents. And Anne-Marie continuously provides outstanding customer service, and she goes beyond the call of duty. She keeps in contact with several of our elderly residents just to keep them company and ensure they're doing okay throughout the day. And she's trusted by so many of them that she often makes doctor's appointments for them just to be a helper. On multiple occasions, she's even provided financial assistance to our elderly residents. And Anne-Marie has purchased groceries, performed minor repairs, and completed yard maintenance for many of our elderly residents. She's a fantastic employee and an even better human being. Anne-Marie, if you would join me up here, please. On behalf of the city, the mayor will present to you the Employee of the Quarter Award. Patty, if you'll join us.
Anne-Marie. Oh, that's why you gave it to me.
Right. Jonquier. Jonquier.
Jonquier. Anne-Marie Jonquier, winter 2019, North Miami City Employee of the Quarter. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. You're very welcome. Also joining us is Anne-Marie Supervisor Major Patty Fischel. And then here's a nice $100 gift card from the city as well. There you go. Wonderful. All right. She does great work. She doesn't like speaking, so her work speaks for itself. Congratulations. Right here, right here.
Thank you very much. Okay, at this time, we will entertain, I think it's Ms. Timothy or Ms. Baker, with city events announcement.
Good evening, Mayor, Council staff, North Miami neighbors, and guests. My name is Cassandra Timothy, Public Information Officer, and I'm here to share some of our city's upcoming events, programs, and initiatives. Meet your neighborhood code compliance officers, the Clean City Task Force, and your NOMI neighbors at the next Coffee with Code, set for Wednesday, April 12th at 6 p.m. Stop by Mimo's Mozzarella, located at 475 Northeast 123rd Street for coffee and pastries. Vice Mayor Philippe Bien-Aimé and Farm Share will host a community food distribution for families in the North Miami community on Thursday, April 11th, beginning at 10 a.m. Some of the common foods Farm Share provides are fruits, vegetables, bread, and pastries. The event is free and open to the public and will take place at Griffin Park. Thursday, April 11th at 5:30 p.m., join Mayor Smith Joseph next junior council meeting here in the North Miami Council Chambers. Witness local college and high school students gaining hands-on experience and leadership development through civic engagement. North Miami Mayor Dr. Smith Joseph will host the North Miami Keys to Success Career Fair on Friday, April 12th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the Mocha Plaza. Over 40 hiring companies will be in attendance. This is a chance to discover career openings in various industries and find resources to learn new job skills. Bring out the entire family to Enchanted Forest Elaine Gordon Park for the city's annual spring egg hunt. Children ages 12 and under will enjoy activities such as face painting, pony rides, inflatable games, and good old-fashioned egg hunts on Saturday, April 20th at 10 a.m. $1 cash admission at the gate. Thinking about starting or expanding your business? Join city staff as they discuss the ins and outs of doing business with the City of North Miami on Thursday, April 24th from 6 to 8 p.m. The workshop will take place at Nomi Bar and Grill located at 738 Northeast 125th Street. Saturday, April 27th at 8 a.m. at Ben Franklin Park, join Councilwoman Carol Keys and Stonyfield for the 2019 Green Awareness Fair and recycling event and a cleanup. This event will include free paper shredding, electronic waste disposal, green awareness demonstration, plus opportunities to earn volunteer hours through several community cleanups. All ages are welcome. Volunteers may register today at northmiamifl.gov/celebrate. North Miami Mayor Dr. Smith Joseph will host the 2019 reverse raffle to benefit the Police Athletic League of North Miami. For a cost of $150 per ticket, get a buffet dinner for two, open bar, and one raffle entry. Announcements will take place on Saturday, April 27th at 6 p.m. at the Joe Sellison Center. There will be 11 $500 winners, 3 $1,000 winners, and 1 $10,000 winner. Purchase tickets on Eventbrite. The North Miami Educational Foundation scholarship applications are now being accepted. The deadline is Friday, April 19th. The foundation awards scholarships to applicants who are North Miami residents who are economically disadvantaged high school graduates. Applications are available on the city's website. The North Miami general election is around the corner. Early voting is April 29th through May 12th at the North Miami Public Library. Election day is Tuesday, May 14th. Elections are administered by the Miami-Dade County Elections Department in partnership with the North Miami Office of the City Clerk. For more information, visit northmiamifl.gov/election. Stay up to date with the latest happenings in our city by visiting northmiamifl.gov and clicking on the Connect with NOMI icon on the city's homepage, where you can sign up to receive the city's NOMI newsletter. Residents may also like the City of North Miami on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Timothy. No city project update. We need a motion now to approve the consent agenda, items A through G, as in God.
So moved.
Motion made by Councilwoman Keys to approve the consent agenda, items tab A through G. That motion was seconded by Councilman Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passed with a 5-0 vote. Tab H. Proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, authorizing the city manager to issue purchase orders to CDW Government LLC in the aggregate amount not to exceed $125,863 for the purchase of computer hardware, software, equipment utilizing the cooperative purchasing provision pursuant to section 7-169 of the city code on a contract awarded through National Joint Powers Alliance. Request for proposals number 100614, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, and council members. Alberto Estrade, Purchasing Director. The item that you have before you under tab H is staff's request for your approval of a piggyback of a contract between CDW Government LLC and the National Joint Powers Alliance to provide the city with computer hardware, software, and peripherals, and to seek your authority to issue purchase orders in a not to exceed amount of $125,863. As reflected in the council report, the National Joint Powers Alliance is a national cooperative purchasing program which serves the purchasing needs of over 50,000 government, education, and nonprofit organizations. The ability to use such national cooperative programs enables the city to benefit from a much greater volume of purchasing and economies of scale by having access to a larger pool of pre-qualified vendors and much more competitive pricing. Given the above, staff is recommending approval of the piggyback of CDW's contract with NJPA to provide the city with the necessary computer hardware and software, which includes, but is not limited to, the purchase of a two-factor authentication readers and software, which are to be used for our police laptops, and this all for a total of not to exceed $125,863. Here tonight in support of the item is the city's IT director, Mr. Ricardo Castillo, our police chief, Mr. Larry Juriga, and our police administrator, Mr. Jorge Marreza. And this concludes my presentation, and if you have any questions, I'll be glad to take them.
Okay, this item is now open to the public. For anyone who wishes to be heard on the item H as in hat, please come forth now or forever hold your peace. I see no one here, none. Public hearing is therefore closed.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question. Mr. Manager, Mr. Estrada, through you, Mr. Mayor. I understand the concept of what you're trying to do, but you know my issues with piggyback. So because of the larger pool of qualified candidates, and I guess we'll get a better competitive rate, but I think we forget about the small businesses here locally, and that's always been my concern when we're trying to do these piggybacks, because we either don't want to put out the RFQ, or we trying to do it, or the RFP, or we're trying to do it faster. We lose the little small business, and that's really been my concern. And I know we had an ongoing conversation, Mr. Manager, about this, and I'm hearing the same thing. So again, we are selecting this company because we have a better pool. So I don't know if we wouldn't have a better price if we put it out there to see who's locally, or any little small business could even beat the price.
I mean, to test the market, I mean, we can always do the RFP to test the market. Given the size of this collaborative, you know, I know the prices are going to be probably the lowest because of the volume that is being purchased under these contracts. And then the other thing we look at, we have been doing some things, because remember when we did the CCNA list, we did do the two levels so that we got smaller businesses, you know, a lot of that work. In the case here also, are there going to be local businesses that actually
qualify for it?
Yeah, well, no, that actually sell this particular.
That's what I'm saying. This type of equipment, which I'm okay with. I understand what you guys trying to do, but on a policy standpoint, us as policymakers, we got to look out for the small businesses and how we could. I don't know, and I know it's hard because I do understand this is better economically. It makes much more sense. I just want us to do something, or come up with something where the little business or local business will get included in these big be good deals.
So one of the things, and we can commit to do this right now, I know, and Alberto's done several of these, we can do purchasing fairs where we
Okay.
actually go out and engage the vendor community, and we can kind of test and see, all right, we have 15 businesses that
does
sell this
IT,
type of
yes.
product, that are registered with us.
I would
and then
really,
do-
really, yes.
So we can pursue one of those.
Please,
and put
Mr.
one of those on.
Estrada, thank you so much, sir.
Certainly will.
Say something.
Go
I
ahead.
mean, on that line, don't we have a list of our businesses with our commercial? I
Yes, we
mean,
do.
we should be able to tell through our business receipts who does this kind of work.
Well,
And, you know.
well, it's not work. It's we're
We're
purchasing
a vendor, you know,
yeah, the
sells
type
that
of
kind
vendor
of.
that's set
yeah.
up. Yeah, we can use that as a source. You know, some of those SIC codes are a little more general. They may not be as specific because we're buying.
Commodity
Yeah,
codes?
yeah. So, but yeah, we can absolutely look into that.
Okay.
We need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilwoman Keys to approve tab H. The motion was seconded by Councilman Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes with a 5-0 vote. Tab I, proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, authorizing the city manager and the city attorney to execute a second option to renew the lease to purchase agreement between the city of North Miami and Bancorp Bank, and to issue purchase orders to provide the city with the lease purchase of 6 vehicles at a cost not to exceed $290,000 over a 3-year term, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes.
Once again, Mr. Mayor and council members, for the record, Alberto Estrada, Purchasing Director. The item that you have before you under tab I is simply staff's request for your approval of the second option of the vehicle lease purchase agreement that the city has with the Bancorp Bank. And also is requesting your approval to add an additional 6 vehicles through Bancorp, which are to be used for the city's police department. As reflected in the council report, staff has identified several police vehicles that have exceeded their useful life and that are in need of replacement. These vehicles range between 8 and 10 years in age and would require extensive work in order to remain as part of the police department's fleet. As a result, staff intends to purchase 6 new Ford Interceptors through the Bancorp agreement to replace these vehicles. Due to a change in the model, the remaining inventory of 2018 and 2019s of this vehicle is very limited, and the 2020 version has yet to arrive. There are a few remaining 2018s and 2019 models which are immediately available to the city and would actually represent a significant savings of approximately $48,000 to the city. These vehicles will be purchased through the Bancorp lease purchase agreement from the dealership Prestige Ford, which is offering the city the same pricing that they have under the state of Florida agreement. The vehicles shall be delivered completely upfitted with all required equipment and accessory in accordance with the police department's needs. Here tonight, in support of this item, is the city's vehicle fleet manager, Mr. Jeff Geimer, as well as our police chief, Mr. Larry Juriga, and police administrator, Mr. Jorge Manresa, in the event that you have any questions regarding these vehicles. This concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to take them.
Okay, the item is now open to the public. Public, I see the public coming.
William Prevotel, 11950 North Bay Shore Drive. In general, I'm in support of this item. I just had a question. If we have vehicles that are coming off the fleet usage, are they just going back to dealerships or used car dealerships at a very discounted rates, as dealerships will do? They'll give you really the lowest dollar. Or if that's the case, should we list some of these vehicles, whether they have any value at all, so that the public, particularly citizens of North Miami, who might be in businesses, as were just mentioned, so they have a crack at getting these vehicles at a discounted price before they're just sent along? Just a thought. Don't know what the process is. Would just like some clarification on that. Thank you.
Public hearing is still open? See none, hear none, public hearing is closed. Manager, I don't know if you want to take maybe just 2 minutes answering the question.
All of our surplus goes through auction, as you guys know, or approved by the council.
Okay. Another thing, if they're leased, don't you give them back to the? Okay.
Motion to approve?
Second. Have a motion made by Councilwoman Keys to approve tab I. The motion.
Is this a piggyback one? No. Oh.
The motion was seconded by Councilman Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passed with a 5-0 vote. Tab J. Proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, approving the execution of a settlement agreement and lease relative to pending foreclosure litigation for the properties located at 12351 Northwest 7th Avenue, 635 Northwest 123rd Street, and 645 Northwest 123rd Street, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. First of all, I'd like to apologize. Normally, when it comes to settlement agreements, I like to have executive sessions. Unfortunately, last meeting, I forgot to ask you all for an executive session. So I've spoken to you all individually on what the exact particulars are of this item. Should we get into a discussion that gets a little bit too far, then I may ask you all to table it and we can bring it back. But essentially what this is in 2017, December of 2017, this is a property, we call it the Denmark property. It's a property located on 7th Avenue. I have the exact addresses, but it's just south of 125th Street on the east side of the property. It was formerly a garden center, landscaping center. My file shows that as far back as 2012, the city was citing it for all sorts of things that were dumping on the property. It looks a lot better than it did now. But in December 2017, based on all of the liens that we had on the property, it was one of the properties that we chose to foreclose on the item. So that was in December 2017. We've been in litigation on the foreclosure. Sometime in the fall, I don't have the exact date, we actually went to mediation with the owners of the property and trying to figure out a way to resolve it. The issue was, we know, individuals trying to buy the property, they weren't doing anything with the property. There's still a gate that's got a barrier on there. There's still items that you can see from the street, and it's an eyesore on 7th Avenue, which, as you all know, we're trying to redevelop. So we were trying to talk to them during the mediation to try to figure out a solution to see if they could, somehow resolve the issue. During that discussion, just tossing back ideas, an idea came where the city would take possession of the property as a tenant. By doing that, we have control of the property. We have control of the property. The lease would allow us to use the property for temporary uses. We've talked to you all about what those temporary uses potentially could be. Tonight's not the discussion on what the uses will be. Tonight's the discussion on whether or not you wish to take control of this property that's been an eyesore in the city for a while. The manager and I have talked. We've talked to you all. We think that there are solutions that will end up benefiting the community, benefiting that street, and end up not costing the city much or anything at all. I don't really want to get into those discussions publicly. Obviously, we're still in the settlement discussions. Should you resolve this tonight to enter in the settlement agreement, we'd enter in a lease on the property, and then any subsequent use or any decision on what the property is used for will actually come back to the council. So that's going to come back to another day. Today, really, the decision for you all is, do we want to take control of this property that's been an eyesore on that street for a very, very long time, and then use it to the benefit of this community. We recommend that there's approval, and we hope you support the item.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. We'll open it to do we open it to the public then? Huh? The public is welcome to opine and express your comments, concerns about this item. Item J as in Jack, or Jill, or Joseph. Jack and Jill. Let's do it.
Jessica Alston, 1140 Northwest 125 Street. This item is very, 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 very vague. very, 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 very vague. And in being very, 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 very vague, it is, I know it's funny. I know it's funny, but it's not funny to me. 7th Avenue being an entryway to Sunkist Grove, where I live. I'm very concerned about this. And I would have liked more clarification or more description as to what the intention or design would be the plan for this property. Thank you.
Hello, Marisol Medina at 1270 Northeast 123rd. So there are some other properties that have been purchased within the city that I don't really see any movement. I guess we're preventing from further eyesores, such as that one that's off of 135th between the two buildings. That one was taken over and it's just an empty lot now. Seemed like it kind of helped them out not to have that there anymore, and they no longer be indebted to the city for having it there. So this used to be like a sanctuary that was there for a long time, and now the building's knocked down, if I'm not mistaken, and now only the statues are there. So I hope that, you know, I do agree, taking over a property and making it look nice is better for the city overall, but I hope it doesn't cost us much, and that we don't do maybe at least maybe we purchase the property and do something better with it. Since it's along the highway, I mean, there's good purposes, uses for it. And you stated that when it comes to using that property, it's gonna come back before us. Well, we'll discuss it again as to what's going to be used. So hope that happens soon. Thank you, guys.
Good evening, everybody. My name Odette Luben. Live in 537 Northeast 132nd Street and District 3. I understand, Mr. Manager, and plus Mr. Mayor, Dr. Joseph, your face look good for me. God bless you. And then, I understand, city manager done something, Dr. Smith done something, and people for after, no one do fiscal that be
Sir, I don't believe
the
she's
problem for me.
discussing the current
I don't
item.
understand. Today, I'm called in this office. Miss Sunday tell me, I say, what I want to talk to Mr. City Manager.
Here's what I'm going to do.
She tell me to him. He's someone.
Let's
He
have-
am sorry.
I'm going to
You
have
know,
a
he
m-
told me, oh, I don't have nothing to help you anymore. I think they want money billing for you.
Okay.
But believe me, you could cheat people like that. But God see
It's
everything.
okay. Listen.
Jesus see everything.
You're not listening to me. Let's have a meeting before the end of the week. By tomorrow, Wednesday or Friday, we'll have a short meeting so we can get to the bottom of this. Because I do understand it's a very frustrating issue. It's something that's been going on, but this is not the venue for you for this. Okay? So-
Okay. Okay. Miss Alberta, very good person. When you call
Okay.
and she give good person.
Okay.
Anybody.
Thank you. Public hearing is still open on the item. Item J. See no one, hear none. Public hearing is closed.
Mr. Mayor, if you allow me, I commend the city attorney for taking the lead and the administration, in particularly about this particular property. It's been an ongoing issue for the past 4 years. It went from looking a mess from all the statues there over the past few years, and this has been ongoing for years and years and years. And I would have liked, and I think I shared this with you, Mr. Attorney, it would have been a little bit longer. I know it's 3-year, 5-year lease, but I would have liked it a little bit longer. But it is something, so it's progress. And I know the police department and every department that kind of been working at this effort to make sure that something were to happen. So I do take my hats off to you guys to say job well done. It's not what I wanted, but it's something. So I am pleased with it. Thank you.
Mr. May I have a quick question? It's a 5 years or 15
It's
years?
a,
or
it's
5
it's a
years?
total of 15 years. It's a 5-year lease with two 5-year options. It's the
Options.
city's option. So if we want to go the entire 15 years, it's at the option of the city.
Okay. We only can build temporary on it. Oh,
Well,
okay.
yeah, I mean,
Okay.
in terms of settlement agreement, the use would have to be, there would be no permanent structures built on there. So we couldn't put a 10-story building on the property, so.
You could,
that's what-
but
You could
only
not,
if-
you could not.
Oh,
You'd have
you
to
can
knock
do
it
that.
down
Knock
after
it down.
15
Yeah,
years.
we don't wanna do
Will
that.
there be any option?
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
Option for what, sir?
I mean, I'm sure it will be
Well,
one of the clauses. One of the clauses would be.
Well,
I mean,
one of the clauses, well, what we've discussed with Mr. Denmark when we had the discussions was, would he be open to any partnering opportunities for any kind of joint ventures to somehow improve the property? And that was the understanding. The understanding is that we're doing this as getting into a landlord-tenant relationship, and that they would entertain anything that we brought before them. So it's a step in the right direction. You know, obviously, someone just mentioned, it's a settlement agreement, so it's not perfect for anyone. They're not happy about this. We're not completely happy about it, but it's a settlement agreement. That's what tends to happen in a settlement agreement.
Question? I think it's ingenious. I've never seen a foreclosure where the person being owed, the creditor, lender, whatever, is getting possession of the property for 3-5-year periods. I think that's wonderful. It's great for the city. We take possession. We see what's going on in the district, and we can do what we want. Just one question. Can the property be sold while we have the lease, and they would buy it subject to the lease? Is that how it would work?
I'm not sure.
So if the
they
owner
s-
of the property decides
They
to
would,
sell
no,
it,
we have a lease on it. So
Well, you can still-
if someone approached them on a lease, they would have to,
take it
they would have to.
subject to our use,
Subject
lease.
to our use, yes.
So we're gonna get that
Yeah,
recorded and
yes.
everything. Okay.
Mr. Mayor. What are the financial terms of the lease?
The financial terms, it's $8,000 a month lease for a total of, I don't know, whatever that adds up to.
96?
Oh, I'm sorry, $8,000 a month is the lease. And this is after we did an appraisal. It's slightly above market rate, but again, with some of the things that we're talking about doing, we think that.
Are you able to tell us anything about what you're thinking about doing?
Well, you and I discussed some of the things that people don't want it to be used for, and it's. I can tell you, the idea is not to use this for Chinatown. The idea is not. This isn't a Chinatown idea, but it is an idea that will.
no
bring-
Chinatown, no strip club.
Nah, nothing like. It's not going to be anything like
Nothing.
that. I mean, and again, the reason
Now,
obviously
there's
because
an idea.
we're obviously in the middle of settlement, and so I don't want the landlord to know what we're planning on doing. But all I can tell you is that the plan would benefit 7th Avenue. It would bring something to that district that doesn't exist right now, that would bring people into the city to use.
What becomes of the code liens that we already have on that
That was going to
property?
be my question.
Those would be cleared. And understand, there is no guarantee that if we went all the way through the case, that we'd get any of that money. Just understand that. So I know people see these large dollar figures when you see liens on properties. There's no guarantee at all that a court will give you that money. We're fighting hard, and we hope that that's the result. But one of the reasons they came to the table, one of the reasons we're trying to settle is because we don't know what the result is. And one of the reasons they came to the table is because they don't know what the result is. And I really don't want to take it to a judge to find out, because it may not be in the benefit of the city.
So when will you be ready? I can understand your reticence to put too much out for public consumption by the owner, current owner. Now, when will you be ready to tell the public more about what's in store?
We have some meetings scheduled actually tomorrow. If you approve this tonight, we'll be working with the settlement agreement. We'll be working on the lease. My hope is to bring the lease back next meeting and unveil at least a template of a plan at that meeting. Because if we don't do it by next meeting, you probably won't. I think it'll end up being, depending on how elections go out, it may end up drag out to July. So I'd like to get it as soon as possible, because there are things that we need to do beforehand.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any more comments?
No, sir.
We'll take it to a vote. We need a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve tab J. That motion was seconded by Councilwoman Keys. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes with a 5-0 vote.
Thank you all for your confidence and support in this item.
Tab
Look forward
K.
to learning more in 2 weeks.
Tab K, proposed ordinance, first reading of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, providing for text amendments to chapter 29 of the city of North Miami Code of Ordinances entitled Land Development Regulations by amending Article 4, Division 2 entitled Zoning Districts, specifically add section 4-203 entitled Minimum Standards of Development to include additional setback restricting uses, increasing buffering, and limiting building orientation and height requirements for certain M1 zoned parcels, providing for repeal, conflicts, severability, correction of Scrivener's errors, and for an effective date. And that was tab K.
You know what, Mr. Attorney, I really kind of, tab G, I know that that was part of the consent agenda, but I had a little note for me to request to take it out and discuss it, but for some reason I failed to do so. I would like to have the opportunity to really ask a few questions on tab G as in God. I don't know if do we have to do resolutions before?
Well, it depends.
Ordinance?
Do you want to undo the vote, or you just want to have a discussion?
Just a discussion on tab G.
You could just bring it back for discussion. If you want to bring it back for vote, then you could. The meeting hasn't ended, so you could actually make a motion to reconsider if you want to reconsider it, or you could do it just a discussion, whichever you.
But we have to finish the ordinance first.
No, you can go
tab
back,
K?
Mayor. You can go back.
So would you like me to read tab G so you can discuss it, Mayor, or would you guys want to finish with tab K first?
What's the proper thing to do?
There's no proper manner. It's you're running the meeting. It's whatever you wish, Mayor.
Tab G. Do you have to read it over, Mr. No?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, the question I wanted to ask, I understand this is a request for an additional, is it an additional $97,000 to be a change of order?
Yes.
Didn't we have a previous change of order in this project, no?
No, remember, and you and I actually spent some time going over this. This is the one where the city back about 10 plus years ago approved the entire design, redesign.
Mhm.
What Hazen is doing here, they're gonna be doing some, program management services or?
Right, it's construction administration, field engineering. It's just adding an additional 2 months. When the project was bid, this has to do with the filter rehabilitation project at the water treatment plant. And when it was bid, it was an additional 2 months. That simply needs to be added for the engineering firm. Remember, they're the engineering consultants.
So at one point of time, there was a question as to whether or not, I know I don't remember the exact amount that we voted on a couple of months ago, sometime last year. And I guess it's a moot subject now to talk about the possibility of a third party to redo no, not outreach, just to get like not a brand new plant, but to get like at one point of time we were entertaining expansion and possibly a third party to come in, like H2, what the name of the company is?
CH2 Mill.
CH2 Mill
Actually,
and
they're Jacobs
other possible. So this is not in the horizon anymore?
No, this particular piece, this is the rehab and construction that we were already approved. Actually, Whistler and I have had a number of meetings still with some outside vendors about considering the expansion of the plant. So that's something that we could potentially bring back as a separate item. But it wouldn't affect this work. This is the work that we needed to do to bring the plant back, back up to appropriate status.
And this is pretty much to satisfy repair in some of the old, very old
Correct.
parts,
Replacements,
the
repair
equipment.
replacements,
that-
new filters, new towers, new buildings on the existing plant.
Okay, I'm edified.
Mr. Mayor, if you're gonna proceed with tab J, I have a potential conflict owning some of that property, so I'm gonna excuse myself.
J?
J.
No, J is done. K?
K, I'm sorry, K, are you?
K.
We're in the middle of K.
Okay.
Go back to that.
We're going to fly our kites now.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, we're back.
Would you like me to reread tab K?
Oh, you already gone through with it?
I have.
Hmm.
I can reread it, Mayor, if you
No,
want
no,
me
no,
to.
it's okay if you had completed that.
Okay.
That's fine. So now we open it to the public? Presentation?
Again?
No, there was no presentation yet.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tanya Wilson with Community Planning and Development. Tab K is actually a rehearing of an item that was heard back in February. This is for a text amendment to create a buffer zone. The text amendment was to section 4-203 of the Land Development Regulations. Create a buffer zone between the boundaries of Northeast 123rd Street and Northeast 124th Street along Northeast 12th Place and Northeast 13th Avenue. At the time, staff recommended a series of recommendations ranging from variations in the setback, additional landscaping, variations in the height to protect the single-family neighborhood that bordered that industrial district. The vote at the time was 2-2, so the item failed. Since then, Councilman Decime has asked for the item to be reheard, so staff is here again presenting this text amendment for consideration before City Council. If the Council has any additional questions, staff is available to answer them at this time.
So we have to, public hearing is now open and letter kite, K as in kite.
Good evening, Council. Good evening, Mayor. My name is Robert Houston. I live at 1150 Northeast 123rd Street, and I also attended the city workshops regarding this particular parcel. I live near that neighborhood, and it's a neighborhood of small family homes. That particular parcel has 2 houses facing eastward towards 13th Avenue and 6 houses facing westward towards 12th Place. During the last LDR submission to the state, surprisingly, that property became an M1, but I understand that the paperwork was just never processed prior to Woods, and that it was an R2 before that. I support this amendment, but I have a couple of questions regarding the buffer zone. It doesn't stipulate that the buffer wall will or will not have entrances. And my only concern for this amendment is that the neighborhood, which is adjacent off of Northeast 12th Place, does not have industrial traffic entering and leaving through the back gates. Because once this property becomes M1, the orientation of the land faces east, 13th Avenue, which is the industrial district. So, again, my only question is there's no definition of what a buffer wall is and whether it will have entryways in it. And other than that, I support the amendment. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, City staff. Howard Tonkin, 12600 Griffin Boulevard. I'm also a business owner at one of the properties. I'm a tenant of Councilwoman Keys. I'm wondering what's the difference between these few properties and the abutting residential neighborhood and 14th Avenue across 123rd Street and the abutting neighborhood? And it just seems like we're accommodating a hodgepodge of we're going to change this for this person, but we're going to leave this like this. And it seems like there's no overall cohesive vision, or has a study been done to say, how is this going to affect future development, or how is this going to affect property values of those residents in that neighborhood? And so it just seems like frankly, it just seems like we're going to give Dr. Medina over here a piece of red meat for his mayoral campaign, because this has been something that he has gone on and on and on about from when there was going to be a dry cleaning plant. That's gone. There will never be a dry cleaning plant. He wanted the fence. We put the fence. Now he wants a wall. I can't use the back of the property because of the endless harassment that I have to endure. So no one's using the back of the property. And I'm just wondering, as we're looking to be taken seriously by developers in this city, are we really doing the appropriate assessment and study on how this area is supposed to be used? Or are we just doing like the hodgepodge, like when the city decided to give away my driveway to my next door neighbor because she wanted that? So I'm just wondering, where are we going with this? And what's the difference between this area and then the 14th Avenue area with the residential neighborhood adjacent? And then where does this begin and where does it end as far as these special hodgepodge accommodations? Thank you.
Hello, Council. My name is Marisol Medina at 1270 Northeast 124th. As you know, I live in the abutting neighborhood. Unlike 4th Avenue, we do not have two streets and a median with beautiful planted trees as a buffer between us. We have our single-laned road that travels between us and the now converted industrial zone. There is no... The rear setback has been modified in order to accommodate, because previously we had a 25-foot setback, and now we've reduced it down to 15, which was one of the major complaints in having that setback, that it was affecting their value. We are the only ones in the entire city that are set up like this, which is the reason why we need things put in place in order to help us, because there's no control if something else was to be able to be put there, and then we'll be back in the same situation. Since our city was designed like this is our only way of ensuring that everybody gets an accommodation. This is why we did the workshops. That's why we worked together with both administration and residents and business owners to find a happy medium for all of us. And I believe that this is the best work we've done so far. And it also outlines in this section all of the different properties, sections of the city that are also affected in similar ways, such as 135th and 131st, because it was not planned correctly initially, so we're trying to make amends for past development. So thank you guys for supporting this amendment.
William Previtel, 11950 North Bay Shore Drive. I'd like to thank Councilman Desalme for sponsoring this item. As we've said previously, this small section, a small neighborhood has undergone a great deal of challenges over the past so many years. If this is a gesture to help rectify the situation and bring some peace and comfort to this neighborhood, I hope it's not too much of a burden to the commercial usage, but I think it will be of benefit to the residents, and that is utmost important. So anything you can do to support this would be appreciated. It is a unique situation, and in light of that, it would be nice to see this passed and forwarded. Thank you for your support.
Good evening. My name is Alina Medina. I live at 1270 Northeast 124th Street. I want to present here the signatures of the residents that live in this area, and including also a signature of one of the ladies, one of the houses who also is in the industrial zone area as well, supporting this, that we want the amendments to be put in. And we feel that the right thing is for us to be protected. We live in this area, and the gentleman who spoke before about a business, he goes home to quiet and peace. And he has his business in the industrial part, but puts trash in the back of his business. So I have pictures of it, and that is not correct. I mean, I wonder if he's paying the fee that goes towards a business to put trash in the residential part. Is he paying the fee that's supposed to be paid for that? or is he paying the residential rate? But anyway, we want businesses there. We want businesses in the area to grow and to want to be protected. It's just only the right thing to do. So I hope that you please consider this for the people who live there. We live there. We go home to have peace and quiet. And thank you, Mr. Desome, for bringing this back. I appreciate it.
Jessica Alston, 1140 Northwest 125 Street. I just stand in support of the residents who would like these restrictions to be approved by you. I am disappointed in a resident disparaging the name of another NOMI person who made their point. That was totally unnecessary and unappreciated.
Public hearing is still closed for whoever wants to be heard. See none, hear none. Public hearing is closed. Back to the dais.
Yes.
For further discussions.
Sure. Mr. Mayor, I asked the manager to bring back the item after I had voted against it. I heard a comment tonight. This had nothing to do about one person, one particular person in particular, and I could care less about whatever that statement that was made because it's so far from the truth or from my particular decision. After I made the vote couple weeks ago, I did receive some calls from residents, had nothing to do with Dr. Medina or so ever. And a couple of the residents told me, and I told them, I said, listen, I don't live over there. I do not know your frustration or your pain because I'm in a whole different district. And when the item was brought forward, I never got any emails in support or against. I may have received one or two, but it wasn't nothing that was need to sway anything. So the residents asked me on a Saturday to come by if I would willing to come by and meet with them. And when I got there, there was approximately a dozen residents from the surrounded area. We met, and then they took me outside and they showed me. And I said to them, I said, now, if this would have done prior to this, I probably would have voted differently. I did not promise them what I was going to do, but I did tell them that I was going to look into the situation. What I did tell them after I evaluated the decision, because prior to that meeting, the administration was supporting the item, so it wasn't really nothing for me to go against. But what I did say to them, that I did not have any problem in compromising, because leading is about compromising. It's not about you get your way one way or it's the highway. And sitting up here for the last 4 years, it teaches you a lot. And it has nothing to do about how smart you are or where you are, but we are here to represent people, to change the lives of the residents that we say we vote, that we represent. So when we do take votes that matters to residents, as a public official, it's my upheld responsibility to make sure that if something was done improper or I did not see something the way I should have, we agreed, we talked, and we compromised. And one of the things after I made my decision, I spoke to one of the gentlemen that was at the meeting. I said, I don't mind with because I had an issue with the wall. And I said to them, I think that we need to compromise that the 15, the way it is, and I want to be clear that it stays the setback. I did not think that needed to be changed. And other than that, I was able to move forward. And that was the promise that I made. And with that tonight, I am ready to vote with that amendment. Thank you.